All right, we're diving into a story out of a small Colorado county that honestly sounds like something out of a movie. We're talking about some really serious allegations of corruption, forged documents, and one lawyer's personal crusade for justice. She's gone public with some absolutely explosive claims against the sheriff's office, and we're going to break down her side of the story piece by piece. So, how do we even start to unravel this? Well, we're just going to follow the timeline of events exactly as this lawyer lays them out. It all kicks off with what seems like a pretty straightforward domestic abuse case that she says just spiraled into this massive battle against the local authorities. And at the absolute center of this whole thing is the lawyer, Jill Carlson. This quote right here, it's basically a final warning. It shows you exactly where our head was at. She claims that after hitting nothing but brick walls with the system, she felt like her only choice was to go public with the whole thing. Okay, so let's rewind. The whole thing kicks off in March of 2023. A man walks into Jill Carlson's office looking for help with a domestic abuse situation. But what started as a plea for legal aid, well, that turned out to be the spark that ignited a much bigger fight.
So according to Carlson, her client comes in and just lays out this story. He's alleging multiple kinds of abuse. He said his wife threw a can of soda right at his head, had repeatedly threatened to kill his dog, and was using money to control him. Hearing all this, Carlson told him, "You need to get a protection order."
Now, this is actually super important. To really get what's happening here, you have to understand how Colorado law defines domestic abuse. And it's way broader than most people think. It's not just about getting physically violent. It covers threats, intimidation, stalking, coercion, the whole 9 yards. So just keep that definition in your back pocket, because it's going to be crucial for everything that comes next.
So the client gets the protection order. You'd think that's a step in the right direction, right? Well, according to Carlson, this is exactly where things started to go sideways. And the problems, she says, came from the very people supposed to enforce the order, the Dolores County Sheriff's Office.
And this slide right here, wow, it really lays out the core of Carlson's complaint. On one side, you have what the law says should happen, things like mandatory arrests if a protection order is violated. But on the other side, you have what she claims actually happened. Deputies allegedly letting the ex-wife have these multi-hour visits to get her stuff instead of the standard 15 minutes. And get this, she claims they even told her client that contact was allowed, which is the exact opposite of what a protection order is for.
And this wasn't just a one-time thing or some simple misunderstanding. Carlson claims it was a pattern. We're talking more than 14 separate violation complaints that her client reported all through the summer of 2023. Harassment at football games, stuff happening in town, and she alleges that every single time, the sheriff's office just refused to do anything about it.
All right, now we get to the allegation that is, without a doubt, the most explosive part of this entire story. This is what Carlson calls the point of no return. Everything she says changed on November 14th, 2023.
Her central allegation is as shocking as it is direct. That the Dolores County Sheriff, a man named Don Wilson, personally created a fraudulent arrest warrant just to deceive her client.
Okay, let's walk through the timeline she lays out for that day, because the timing is everything. First, the sheriff emails what looks like a warrant. Based on that document, the ex-wife gets arrested and is in jail before 11 a.m. But here's the kicker. An official, real warrant doesn't actually get filed with the court until almost 3 hours later, at 1:50 p.m. That time gap is at the center of this whole thing. So this is where the forgery claim really takes shape. It's all in the details, right? Look at the differences she points out between the two documents. The one she says the sheriff emailed, no case number. The bond was apparently set by the sheriff himself, which she claims is illegal. But the real smoking gun, according to her, the judge's signature. She says it was a clear fake and looked totally different from the signature on the official warrant filed later that day.
And if that wasn't enough, to add another layer to all this, Carlson claims she has an eyewitness, a professional colleague, who places the judge in another county, having lunch, at the exact time that first warrant was supposedly signed.
So you'd think bringing up a forged warrant would trigger a massive investigation, right? Well, Carlson alleges the exact opposite happened. She claims that instead of getting answers, she was met with a coordinated campaign of threats and professional sabotage from both the sheriff's and the district attorney's offices.
And she says she tried to do it by the book. You can see the steps right here. She took her concerns up the chain of command, from the local sheriff to the DA, all the way up to the state attorney general, and even, finally, the FBI. But according to her, she just hit a brick wall at every single turn.
And the response she got from the DA, Christian Hatfield? Well, according to this quote from Carlson, it was,
hostile, to say the least. Instead of looking into it, she says he sent a group email accusing her of promoting conspiracy theories and even made threats about her mental health.
And the fallout, she claims, was devastating. Her professional career? She calls it destroyed. She says she was fired from a position with a local domestic violence agency. A colleague who tried to help her was allegedly framed for crimes. And maybe worst of all, for her client, his entire civil case against his ex-wife was dismissed with prejudice, basically ending his legal fight. So, after all that, with what she felt were no official options left, she decided her only move was to take her story directly to the public.
And that brings us right up to today. Carlson has actually moved out of Colorado. She's putting her entire story on YouTube, framing it as a last-ditch effort to get someone, anyone really, federal investigators, journalists, to pay attention, because she claims the local system just completely failed to police itself.
So what's happened in the aftermath of all this? Well, a few key things. The client's ex-wife got 18 months of probation. The client himself has filed a notice saying he intends to sue the county. And this part's interesting. The source also highlights what they call a mass exodus from the sheriff's office, with several people leaving. And 2 of those former employees are now in pretty powerful positions as county commissioners.
And this is where she leaves us, with this question, aimed right at the audience. After laying out this incredibly detailed account, she's basically asking you to decide. Is this just the wild story of a crazy woman, as she puts it, or is there something here that really needs a serious, independent investigation? And for now, that question is just hanging in the air.